Whatever you want. I want to talk about that freaking death cycle that went around with the female figure or the male figure code.
Shelby Starnes.
I made a small live video where I kind of ranted about it. Shelby Starnes, yeah. Dude, that's what got me like last week back into, okay, I'm going to start actually making videos and posts and stuff about like this stuff. Because if people are out here giving people those kind of protocols and thinking it's okay, then I must not be as, cognitively declined as I think I am. I think I must be able to give some good advice because people think that's a good idea. That's not the case. I mean, DNP, Clen, T3, Primo, what were all the steroids there?
Dave, can you give a quick context for people who are listening? Can you talk about some of like the context of the situation, but also like, hey, Clen, T3, and just like how
he might remember the doses better than I do.
Yeah. Okay. So I'll give a quick rundown of certain drugs, what was talked about during these. They did a podcast on it too, and Shelby Starnes was coaching now from what has been confirmed, probably 4 people under him within the past 4 years that have passed away doing bodybuilding shows. And this most recent one, they circulated what was being run. T3 is going to be thyroid. So that is direct T3. It's that is what your direct metabolism essentially is. Now, T3 at a replacement dose is 25 micrograms. The dosages that were talked about, that I heard about, were 180 micrograms. So you're talking over 6 to 7 times the normal thyroid production. And there's a process that the thyroid goes through.
Would you ever even give that to yourself?
No. I think even like open bodybuilders, I personally believe if you have to go over 100 micrograms of T3, then something's just wrong. And even then, like, I don't like going above 25 micrograms if I can help it, potentially 50 at a max end. In fact, I haven't used T3 in the last 2 preps I've done, and I've gotten peeled to the bone, like striated glutes, everything. Like, I'd never touched T3 the last 2 preps. The other preps were, I believe, 25 micrograms for 2 of the preps out of all my preps that I've ever done. Yeah. So if I can avoid using T3 is a muscle burning hormone as well, because if you're not eating food, so these women were eating crazy amounts of food, and people are like, how are they eating so much food? Because he posts about the food they're eating, not the drugs they're taking. Now, the T3, I didn't realize how much T3 they were taking, some of these women, but he also had 400 plus clients. So instead of dieting them down, he would drug them down, is essentially what conceptually. Now, you guys are very, very intelligent. So I don't know if this was entirely true for everyone. But then with the clenbuterol is essentially a bronchodilator. They use it for asthmatics or people that are having bronchial infections. It is one of the few drugs that is actually an actual fat burner. Most people don't know that, but a lot of things that are claimed to burn fat do not burn fat. You have like a few that are like Yahimbi, albuterol, clenbuterol, cocobuterol on the natural end, and stuff like that.
You can't say that.
It's coming. It's coming. Seriously, it's coming. The DNP is coming. Just wait.
So clenbuterol in a dose is going to go up to 100 micrograms to max 120. And then this was at 180 or 200.
It was 200. Yeah,
200.
And once you get over 80, you feel like shit.
They did mention DNP as well, but I've heard Shelby never prescribed DNP, but they brought it up in the show. So I don't know if that's entirely true. DNP is another fat burner. Well, essentially the way that DNP works, it's fertilizer and it is poison for you, and it's going around in the bodybuilding community as a good fat burning drugs. But what it does, it basically decouples the electrons off the atoms, and it basically creates a thermogenic effect from a cellular level. So it actually is killing you, but it burns body fat because of the increase in thermogenesis, and the body's essentially trying to survive from it. That's at a very, very high level. It's a kind of a complex thing, but it is poison or fertilizer. That's what it is. It's not really intended for human consumption, never was.
Remember when Tony was selling that? He had enhancedfertilizer.com. Yes. And the reviews, my plant got shredded. It was crazy. I just had to throw in some dandelion root at the end for some diazide for the water retention, the DNP. Oh, God almighty.
But Tony's not a fan of DNP, though, is he? I don't know.
He's not a fan, but he has.
He is very much so. Yeah,
he's a fan. Yeah, he uses it, but he's he showed us how much to not take. That's for sure. He what did he do? He climbed a mountain in Thailand on a full gram. That's why he has that's where I get the T-shirt joke from all the time, because he had a 1 gram DNP Club T-shirt where they ran experiments with it. I honestly think that people it scared me, but it probably showed a lot of people that drug existed and people who thought they could handle it. So I'm not sure that was maybe his best move, but it's education, and we're all adults here. So, but the DMT really isn't a fun drug, and I have never felt the need to use it.
I've used it many times over the years. I personally am a fan of it. Can you tell us
what your dosing is?
Generally 50 milligrams up to 200.
Okay.
But I've tested higher than that. But like that, what I'm talking about is the 50 milligrams is a very low dose. Like you talking bodybuilding, they'll start at 200, and then they'll go up over 14 days or something like that.
Yeah.
To like maybe 600 or 8. Some people go 800, but like it has a very long half-life. And as Dave was mentioning, because of the uncoupling of the mitochondria, like it has an effect on the body's production of heat. It's effectively taking your car in first gear, but going 40 miles an hour. So you're burning a lot more calories, but your engine's hot as fuck.
Remember that. Talk to Tony.
There's a new compound that's out, but it's ridiculously expensive. It's more precise in its mechanism of action, so it basically uncouples the mitochondria just like DMP does. But DMP has all this peripheral things that it does in the body, where the compound is called Bam-15. Super interesting, but it's a mitochondrial uncoupler. It helps with like fat loss, helps with lowering your blood sugar, helps with like all the metabolic diseases related to insulin sensitivity. Is it type 1 or type 2 diabetes that like you're not responding to it, but your body's still capable of doing it? It helps with that too. It's going to be a very, very interesting compound, and it does not have the thermogenic effects of DNP.
What?
It's an awesome compound.
Bam-15?
It's ridiculously expensive at this point, but it is.
Sounds like a completely different drug at this point. But
yeah, Bam-15. It's way more precise, and it's just targeting, like, it helps something like pass through the wall of. I remember reading a couple studies on it, but it does not have the thermogenic effect of DNP, and it increases like insulin sensitivity. It burns a lot more calories effectively. All these like amazing benefits, and they didn't report any of the negative side effects. And I was like, holy shit, this is
got a pretty badass name right off the bat, Bam-15. But I do want to switch gears, since I think we just got the show canceled by saying those 3 letters. I think we're pretty screwed for that, but it's still good to get the information out. But we were talking about earlier about Keon. So I want you guys, Mr. Olympia is coming up. It's in Orlando.